been taught to pray for wealth. By the end of this video, you'll understand. You have to admit that your current way of thinking is the problem, not your circumstance. Am I worthy to access this abundance? Am I worthy to... Shalom. Today I'm going to teach you a Hebrew verse that some rabbis actually warn against sharing with beginners. Not because it's dangerous, but because it reveals a truth that will completely destroy how you taught to pray for wealth. At the end of this video, you'll understand why most people recite Hebrew prayers their entire lives and stay broke, while a small group uses this exact same verse to access unstoppable abundance. What I'm about to share will make you uncomfortable because the problem isn't the verse, it's your consciousness. And consciousness can be changed starting today. Let me destroy a lie that's keeping you poor. The title of this video says, Forbidden Hebrew Verse to Summon Sudden Wealth. And I know exactly what happened when you saw that. You got excited. You thought, finally, someone's going to give me the secret words that will make money appear. And that's exactly why you're still struggling. You want a magic spell. You want words to do the work while your consciousness stays exactly where it is. In scarcity, in fear, in separation from source. Let me be direct with you. This verse I'm teaching today isn't magic, it's spiritual technology. And like all technology, it only works when you understand how to use it correctly. Most people treat ancient Jewish wisdom like a lottery ticket. They want to recite something 3 times, 7 times, 40 times, whatever number sounds mystical enough, and then sit back and wait for the universe to deliver. When nothing happens, they get angry. They say the teaching was a lie. They move on to the next get-rich-quick scheme. I had a client named David who did exactly this. He found this verse on some website promising ancient Jewish wealth secrets. He recited it 100 times a day for 30 days straight. You know what happened? Absolutely nothing. Zero. His bank account stayed the same. His bills stayed the same. His life stayed exactly the same. He came to my office furious, telling me the whole thing was nonsense, that Hebrew prayers don't work, that it's all just superstition. I asked him one question. David, when you were reciting those words 100 times a day, what was your consciousness? He looked confused. He said, What do you mean, my consciousness? I was saying the words correctly. I looked up the pronunciation and everything. That's when I explained what he missed. What 99% of people miss. The words aren't the power. Your consciousness is the power. The words are the tool that shifts your consciousness. If you recite words of infinite abundance while your mind is screaming scarcity and desperation, you've created nothing but noise. Here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. This verse doesn't summon wealth. It destroys the mental programming that keeps you separated from infinite source. And that makes people very uncomfortable, because it means you have to take responsibility. You have to admit that your current way of thinking is the problem. Not your circumstances, not your job, not the economy, your consciousness. Are you ready for that truth? Because if you're not, you can stop watching right now. Now let me reveal the verse, and then I'll show you why the translation you've heard completely misses the power. The verse in Hebrew is Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, shehakol nihye bidvaro. If you've been to a Jewish service or studied any Hebrew prayers, you might recognize the opening. It's a blessing formula we use for many things. The translation most people hear is, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, by whose word all things came to be." And right there in that translation is where people lose everything. They hear "came to be" and they think it's past tense. They think this is acknowledging that God created everything a long time ago and now we're living in that finished creation, hoping He'll adjust it for us if we ask nicely enough. That's not what the Hebrew says. Let me break down the key phrase. Shehakol nihye bidvaro, word by word. Shehakol means all things. Nihye means are coming into being or are becoming. Bidvaro means by His word or by the word. This isn't past tense. This is continuous present. All things are coming into being right now in this moment by the word. Creation isn't finished. Creation is happening. In the Zohar, the foundational text of Kabbalah, this principle is explained clearly. Reality is being spoken into existence in every single moment. Not was spoken, is being spoken. And here's where it gets really powerful. You are part of that speaking. Your consciousness, your words, your frequency, they participate in what's being created. Most people recite this verse like they're acknowledging something God did in the past. The awakened understanding is God is creating everything now and I am connected to that creative force. When you go back to Genesis, into the Torah's account of creation, what do you see? And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Not, and then light was created, and now it exists forever. The speaking and the being happen together, simultaneously. This is what Jewish mystics have understood for 3,000 years. Consciousness and reality aren't separated by time. They're not cause and effect with a delay. They're happening together continuously right now. Let me show you the 3 ways people say this verse completely wrong and guarantee it won't work. First mistake, they recite it mechanically. They're reading it like a phone book, rushing through just to get it done, checking it off their spiritual to-do list. No presence, no consciousness, just mouth sounds. Second mistake, they say it to God, like they're informing Him of something He doesn't already know. "Hey God, just so you're aware, you're the one who created everything. So maybe you could create some money for me too?" That's the energy. Begging disguised as praise. Third mistake. They recite it while their mind is completely focused on lack. They're thinking about their overdue bills, their empty bank account, their mounting debt, and they're saying words about infinite creation. The contradiction is absolute. Let me tell you about Rachel. She came to me about 2 years ago, completely desperate. She'd been saying this exact verse every single morning for 6 months after reading about it in some book on Jewish prosperity secrets. Nothing had changed. She was still living paycheck to paycheck, still drowning in credit card debt, still watching her friends buy houses and take vacations while she couldn't afford to fix her car. I asked her to recite the verse for me, right there in my office. The moment she started, I knew exactly what the problem was. Her tone, her energy, everything about her consciousness. She was begging. She said the words, "By whose word all things came to be." But what I heard was, "Please God, please, I'm so broke. Please make something happen for me." I stopped her and introduced a concept I need you to understand: frequency mismatch. This verse describes infinite abundance being spoken into reality continuously. Rachel was reciting words of abundance while her entire consciousness vibrated at the frequency of scarcity and desperation. It's like trying to tune into a radio station at 98.5 while your dial is stuck on 101.3. You can turn the volume up as loud as you want. You will never hear the music. You're not on the right frequency. I looked at Rachel and said, "You're not trying to convince God to give you something. You're trying to align your consciousness with the reality that everything is already being created from infinite source right now." Now let me explain exactly what's happening when you use this verse correctly. This is the deep teaching, so stay with me. In the Talmud, there's a principle that words have the power to create worlds. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. Your words, both spoken out loud and spoken silently in your mind, are creating your reality in real time. The verse Shehakol Nihye Bidvaro is reminding you of something you forgot. You're not living in a fixed universe, waiting for God to reach down from heaven and drop blessings on you if you pray hard enough. You're living in continuous creation, where consciousness shapes reality moment by moment. The Jewish mystics have a concept called Tzimtzum. It means God contracted, pulled back to make space for creation. And in that space, your consciousness participates in what manifests. You're not separate from the creative force. You're part of it. Let me show you the difference between two types of consciousness. Begging consciousness says, God is over there. Abundance is over there. I am here in lack, in need, in desperation. Please God, bring it from there to here. Accessing consciousness says, I am connected to infinite source where all things are being created right now. I align my consciousness with abundance and it flows through me. One is separation. One is connection. One keeps you broke. One opens the floodgates. Think about electricity for a moment. When you walk into a dark room and flip the light switch, the power isn't created in that moment. The electricity was always there, flowing through the wires in your walls. The switch just completes the circuit. This verse is your switch. It doesn't create abundance. Abundance is already flowing from infinite source every single moment. The verse completes the circuit of your consciousness so abundance can flow to you and through you. In Kabbalah, we talk about becoming a vessel. God's abundance is infinite, unlimited, always flowing, but you can only receive what your vessel can hold. A consciousness of lack creates a small vessel, a cracked vessel that leaks. A consciousness of infinite creation expands your vessel infinitely. Here's what I need you to understand when you say this verse correctly. You're not asking God for wealth. You're not begging or convincing or negotiating. You're declaring your alignment with the consciousness that all things, including the money you need, the opportunities you seek, the abundance you desire, are being created right now, and you are open to receive. Let me give you my 5-step framework for using this verse as a daily consciousness shifting practice. Write these down. This isn't about perfect pronunciation or saying it a magic number of times. This is about the transformation happening inside you. Step 1. Breath and presence. Before you say a single word of this verse, take 3 deep breaths. Close your eyes. Feel your body in the chair, your feet on the ground. Come fully into this present moment. You cannot align with infinite creation while your mind is racing through yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's anxieties. Presence first, always. Step 2. Release the begging energy. This is critical. Consciously let go of any agenda. You're not saying this verse to make something happen. You're saying it to recognize what's already happening. I give my clients specific language for this. I release the need to convince, to beg, to manipulate. I simply open myself to truth. Say that before the verse. Mean it. Step 3. Recite with understanding. Now say the verse slowly with full presence. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihye bidvaro. When you get to shehakol nihye, all things are coming into being. Pause there. Stop. Feel that truth. Everything you need is coming into being right now, not tomorrow, not after you prove yourself worthy, right now. Step 4. Visualize the flow. Close your eyes and see infinite abundance as a river of light flowing from source. Now see yourself. You're not standing on the bank begging for water. You're standing in the river. The abundance is already surrounding you, touching you, flowing around you. Now see it flowing through you, through your hands, your work, your ideas, your opportunities, your relationships. You're not separate from the flow. You are part of the flow. Step 5. Gratitude declaration. After you finish the verse and the visualization, speak out loud 3 specific things you're grateful for that already exist in your life. This completes the circuit. Gratitude creates the vessel. You cannot be in genuine gratitude and scarcity consciousness at the same time. It's impossible. Gratitude is the frequency of abundance. Do this practice every morning before you check your phone, before you check your email, before you think about your problems or your to-do list. The first consciousness you establish in the morning sets the frequency for your entire day. This is spiritual technology that Jewish families have used for millennia. Let me tell you what happened with Rachel after I taught her this practice. She was skeptical. I could see it in her eyes, but she was also desperate enough to try anything. I walked her through all 5 steps right there in my office. The first time she said the verse with true presence, with consciousness behind the words instead of begging, she started crying. She looked at me and said, "Rabbi, I've been saying these exact words for 6 months, but I never actually felt them until right now. I never felt connected to what they meant." I gave her one instruction. Do this practice every single morning for 30 days. No skipping, no excuses. But here's the rule I gave her. She wasn't allowed to monitor for results. No obsessively checking her bank account. No looking for signs and synchronicities everywhere. Just do the practice and go about your work with presence. Week 1. Rachel called me and said she felt different inside, calmer, more centered. But nothing external had changed yet. She was worried. She said, "Rabbi, I don't see anything happening. My bills are the same. My job is the same." I reminded her, the practice is the happening. The consciousness shift is the result you're building. not a means to some other result. Trust the process. Week 3, she called me excited. Her boss had offered her a project she'd never been considered for before. A higher profile client with a significant bonus attached if she landed the contract. She said something that showed me she was finally getting it. Rabbi, I don't think the verse magically made this opportunity appear, but I think something in me shifted. I showed up differently at work. I was more confident. I spoke up in a meeting I usually stay quiet in. I think I was finally visible in a way I wasn't before. Month 3. Rachel's income had increased by 40%. But what excited me more was this. She'd stopped living in constant financial anxiety. The credit card debt was shrinking because she'd stopped using credit cards as an emotional crutch. She'd opened a savings account for the first time in her adult life. 6 months after starting the practice, Rachel told me, "The verse didn't magically solve all my problems, Rabbi, but it changed my consciousness. Same job, same city, same apartment, same circumstances, different me. And that different me makes different choices, attracts different opportunities, and creates completely different results." This is how it actually works. Not magic, not overnight. Consciousness shift, then action shift, then result shift. The door for door, generation to generation. This is how Jewish families have built lasting wealth. Now let me address the objection I know is running through your mind right now because I hear it constantly. Rabbi, this sounds too simple. If wealth is just about saying a verse and shifting consciousness, why isn't everyone rich? Why are people still struggling? This is a completely valid question, and I'm going to answer it directly. Most people aren't willing to do the inner work. They want the verse to do the work for them. They want to stay in victim consciousness, blame consciousness, scarcity consciousness, and have some magic prayer override all of that programming. It doesn't work that way. It will never work that way. In Pirkei Avot, the ethics of the fathers, there's a teaching. Im ein ani li mili uk she'ani latzmi mah'ani. Translated, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? But if I am only for myself, what am I? This teaching reveals the balance you need. You must take responsibility. I am for myself. But you cannot operate from pure selfishness, only for myself. This verse works when you take responsibility for your consciousness. You cannot blame your job, your boss, your spouse, your parents, your childhood, the economy, the government, systemic injustice. You cannot blame anything external and expect this practice to override your victim identity. God gave you free will. That includes the free will to stay in scarcity thinking or to shift into abundance thinking. The choice is yours, but you have to own it. Now let me address the question you're secretly asking but won't say out loud. Am I worthy to access this abundance? Do I deserve it? Listen carefully. Worthiness isn't about being perfect or deserving based on some moral scorecard. It's about being aligned. A light bulb doesn't deserve electricity. The light bulb is simply designed to receive electricity when the circuit is complete. You are designed, literally created, to receive abundance when your consciousness is aligned with Source. In the Zohar, there's a teaching that God's abundance is like the sun. The sun doesn't choose who receives its light. The sun doesn't say, this person is worthy, this person isn't. The sun just shines. It shines on everyone, all the time. But if you live in a house with no windows, with thick walls and a locked door, you won't experience the light. Not because the sun rejected you, because you haven't opened yourself to receive it. This verse isn't about making you worthy of God's favor. It's about opening the windows of your consciousness so what's already shining can come in. Here's what I want you to do right now, not tomorrow. Not after you finish watching YouTube videos for the next 3 hours, right now. First, write down this verse. Get a piece of paper, a note card, whatever you have. Write, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihye bidvaro. Put it on your nightstand. Put it where you'll see it the moment you wake up every single morning. You need this in front of you. Second, commit to the 5-step practice for 30 days. No skipping, no I'll do it tomorrow. No monitoring obsessively for external results. The practice itself is the result. The consciousness shift you're building is what changes everything else. Trust this process even when your logical mind tells you nothing is happening. Third, start a simple evening journal. Every night before bed, write down 3 things that came into your life that day. Ideas, opportunities, conversations, unexpected money, resources, help, connections, anything. Train your mind to notice what's being created, because what you focus on expands. If you focus on lack, you'll see more lack. If you focus on what's flowing to you, you'll see more flow. Now go down to the comments and type exactly these words. I commit to 30 days. I want to see it. Not for me, for you. Public declaration creates accountability. When you tell other people what you're committing to, you're far more likely to follow through. Do it right now. Pause the video and comment. If this teaching completely shifted how you understand Jewish wisdom and wealth building, hit that subscribe button. Next week, I'm revealing the 3 Hebrew words that every truly wealthy Jewish person says before making any major financial decision. And I'm going to show you why saying them in the wrong order can actually block the blessing instead of opening it. You don't want to miss that. One more thing before I close. This practice will not make you a billionaire by next month. Let me be honest with you, but it will change your relationship with money, with Source, with God, with yourself. And that internal change creates external transformation that doesn't just last for your lifetime. It lasts ledor vidor, generation to generation. That's how you build real wealth. May you align with the infinite Source where all abundance flows. May your consciousness expand to receive everything that's already being created for you right now. May you build wealth that serves not just yourself, but your children, your community, and the great work of Tikkun Olam, repairing this world. Shalom.